How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another videos. And well, the PlayStation showcase has come to an end, and with it a host of games were displayed. But what did you all think of the actual presentation? Was it good, bad, mid? How did you find it? Let me know in the comment section below, because I'm genuinely interested in how you genuinely found it. Was it a banger? Was it a bit average? Was it just not what you expected at all? For me, it was about mid. I wouldn't call it good. I don't think it was bad, because there was still a bunch of games on there that were good, but for the most part, they were all third party, right? And a bunch of indies, with I think only about 2 or 3 exclusive games shown on there to make up the actual overall presentation. Now, the highlights for me, and there's a bunch of indie games here that are actually highlighted for me, because some of them looked absolutely stunning. Now, the first one I want to get out there is Phantom Blade. Phantom Blade looked absolutely amazing. Now, there's a contrast on what sort of game this actually is, whether it's a hack and slash or an actual Souls-like game. If it's a Souls-like game, I lose interest instantly. If it's a hack and slash, I'm very interested. I just don't like Souls-like games. Didn't even like Elden Ring, so I'm not going to go there. But for me, that was actually a standout. I love the aesthetic. It was a surprise showing for me, and that's exclusive from what I understand. Now, Sword of Sea is made by the development team of Journey. If you haven't played Journey, it was one of the original games on PlayStation 3. You have to absolutely check that game out. I believe it's made by the same people. It looks beautiful, and I'm very excited to play it, because it pretty much screamed Journey to me when I played it, and that was another one that actually stood out. Now, Phone Busters is a weird one, right? Because that's pretty much Splatoon. They've copied Splatoon in every way, shape, and form and just made it their own. I hope it's successful, because Splatoon is not a bad game. It's actually a really, really good competitive fun game. And if they can get it right, Phone Busters for Square Enix can be a very, very big earner. Now, one of the highlights for me had to be the plucky squire. The aesthetic of this, given that Paper Mario feel, was beautiful. I love the whole 2D aspect to 3D and everything else. And it just stood out for me as one of those really creative games that, we so desperately missed in gaming these days, and I really hope that it's actually a good game and it's successful, because we want to see more creativity like that. Now, the teaser for Metal Gear Solid 3 was really, really minimal. We knew it existed. They could have just done with flashing the title screen, the title for Metal Gear 3, instead of that pointless, CGI trailer. It was a waste of time, honestly. We knew it existed. We knew it was there. It was okay, but it wasn't a big deal. Again, so far, everything I've mentioned outside of a couple are, are multi-plats. Final Fantasy 16 was announced, which we already knew about, so I'm not going to gloss over that too much. We had the MGS collection. It's beautiful. It's amazing that they're doing this, and I hope this is multi-plat as well, because being able to re-experience those games 1, 2, and 3 again is going to be awesome, especially with the latest hardware. Hopefully it will, benefit from the upper textures and the actual loading times and stuff like that. Alan Wake 2. Now, I've been a massive Alan Wake fan for a long time, and honestly, I've been looking forward to this game for such a long time, especially after the tease that they gave with American Nightmare, where you finally thought it was over, and then they kind of left you hanging right at the end with that final sentence. If you've played it, you know what I'm talking about. But with Alan Wake 2, this time it's different, because you're not controlling Alan Wake. You're controlling this other character who, I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. It's a day one purchase for me, guaranteed. It's one of the highlights for me of 2023. It's coming out in October. It's a 100% buy. But I just hope it's good. The good thing about Alan was his narration, his constant talking over. You're not going to have that this time, and I hope it actually lives up to what it is. Now, Assassin's Creed Mirage, I've never been an Assassin's Creed fan. Well, not of the new style of Assassin's Creed, but this one seems to be going back to its roots, and apparently it's not actually going to be a 150, 500-hour game, but it's going to be a lot smaller, in the double digits, below the 30 hours. So this could be one that I actually could sink my teeth into and actually enjoy. Now, for you anime fans out there, we have Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which looks absolutely awesome, and obviously one of the main games I cover on my other YouTube channel, Tower of Fantasy, is also coming over to PlayStation. Now, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink looks great. It does seem to be a RPG that you'll be able to play through, so if for those of you that are interested in this, definitely gonna want to check it out. It did catch my eye. I do like my anime RPGs, so definitely one to look out for. Now, Tower of Fantasy, as I said, I've been playing that on PC for quite some time now, and the fact that it's coming over to PlayStation is all the better, because it just means now I can play anywhere and everywhere I want. So win-win for me, and if you haven't played Tower of Fantasy, I highly recommend you check it out. It is free to play. Dragon's Dogma 2, I never was a fan of the first one, so I've put it into the list here because I know if I don't, people are going to call me out on it. But it's Dragon's Dogma. You either like it or you don't. It's that simple. And though it's going to have its fans, and I'm pretty sure the game is going to be great because it is highly regarded as a really good game, I wasn't too excited. Now, Resident Evil 4 is one of the Resident Evils I have not played. Shock, horror, I know, don't unsubscribe. But for those of you like me who have actually been waiting for a good VR experience, well, this might be the time, because they are making a VR mode, and if you have Resident Evil 4 for the PS5, it is going to be a mode enabled for the game. Now, whether this is going to be free or not is unknown. I expect it to be free because the other versions were free, so it's even more incentive now to go buy Resident Evil 4 for the PS5 because the VR mode is coming. And for those of you that want that VR experience for Resident Evil 4, just hold out or play through, and if you want to replay through it again in VR, do the same. I've been waiting for this version of the game for years because I believe Resident Evil 4 can be the perfect game to play in VR, and now my dreams are coming to reality. Now, for those of you that love Metal Gear Solid, I know I covered this earlier, one of my favorite characters, voice actors, is David Hayter. Now, there's a game called Synapse, and this is again for the PlayStation VR. And with Synapse, well, one of the main characters, voice actors in there, outside of Jennifer Hale, is David Hayter, and you get to hear those special moments from him, and I think, just the fact that he's in there, the game reminds me a lot of Super Hot, but just hearing his voiceover is enough to get me interested in this game. People say music or voiceovers and stuff like that don't actually influence a game's decision. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And Synapse is one of the games I am definitely looking forward to. Now, before I get to the final game of the show that I was actually interested in, they did showcase the PlayStation Q. This is a PlayStation remote play only enabled device. They've disabled any form of cloud enabled stuff like browsers or anything like that, mainly because if it has a browser on there, you're going to be able to access GeForce Now or xCloud and actually have a truly cloud enabled platform on your hand, which they could actually sell for like $300. But they didn't want to do that because then they potentially lose money through allowing you to stream games on it. So what they're going to do, in my humble opinion, is that they're still going to charge you that $300, but give you basically a paperweight remote play device. I don't see the need for it, honestly. If it's $129.99, which is the price I think is fair, then I think that's a pretty good deal, and it would actually incentivize me to buy that over, say, a Backbone, which is £100, and actually use that instead of my Backbone, right? It's common sense. But if you're going to charge me £300, no way. The earbuds looked absolutely beautiful. I'll wait for a price on those, and I'll definitely, again, pending the price point, pick one of those up. But finally, they finished off with a showcase for Spider-Man 2. Now, this looked pretty good. It was way too on the rails for me, and I didn't like that aspect. But the chemistry between Spider-Man and Miles Morales, well, I should say Peter Parker and Miles Morales, was, amazing. But from all of those, I don't see, outside of Spider-Man being the main punch, the main headline game there, it even overshadowed greats like Final Fantasy 16 in my opinion. It looked that good. It had that PlayStation quality written all over it. Even if it was on the rails and kind of auto-directed for the majority of the time of the trailer, it still had that PlayStation quality all over it. But we just didn't see the big hitters. We didn't see no factions, no pragmata. We didn't see, any of the other games, Uncharted 5, or just the games I wanted to see from PlayStation. It's been 2 years, and honestly, I feel like they let their fan base down. But this is the problem you have when you have no competition. You don't have to try. The presentation was decent. I think it was mid. I think it was, about a 6.5 out of 10. And only a 6.5 because of Spider-Man. I mean, you could technically push it up to a 7, but that's really with some bias, right? Because a lot of these aren't really new. Resident Evil 4 VR. If you've already played Resident Evil 4, you may never want to play it again because, well, time is, a factor here. You've got the likes of the MGS collection. Might not interest you. Plucky Squire and Foam Stars. Sword of Sea. Just borderline indie games and, A or AA games. Again, these might not interest you. The watered down version of Assassin's Creed might not interest you. But the number of games quickly dwindles down once you start taking out indie games and AA games. And when you start to look at the high production value games, Final Fantasy 16, Phantom Blade O, I guess Assassin's Creed Mirage would still be in there, Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, I guess you could put Dragon's Dogma. I don't know. I just expected a lot more of the PlayStation exclusives to come out fighting. There may be another showing later on this year, but this was the one I feel that they should have, added like the Wolverine, or even just a little bit of footage of Wolverine, or factions, or Uncharted, or anything. I feel they missed a punch on this one. But was I happy overall with the presentation? Yeah, I think it was decent, but not what I was expecting. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Was you overly happy? Not overly happy? Was the selection that I picked the ones that you enjoyed? Was there anything else there that was shown that wasn't to your liking? Or was to your liking that I didn't list here? Let me know, and let's have that discussion. With that said, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. June 11 is just around the corner, and we'll hopefully see a maybe better presentation coming from Xbox. The ball is in their courts now to one-up Sony. Let's see if they can manage it. Will Starfield deliver? Who knows? Spider-Man did. Over to you, Microsoft. Remain legend.